Good evening. The Mayor and I wanted to go over some local issues and discussions of what's going on during our COVID-19 situation. We'll also touch base on some executive orders. First things I want to talk about is the Greenway. Greenway, as you've heard, is open. There are a few places that we do have some issues where there's water, which would be the trail, which is near the Red River, near the Frisbee Golf area. Going to the east, that area is underwater still, so that is not being used at this moment, so be careful with that. But the rest of the Greenway trails are in working order. They have gone through and cleaned them up. There still might be some dirt here and there, but by all means, go out and use them, get some exercise, enjoy the walk. Other things that are going on, playgrounds are still closed at the moment. We still ask that we not use those due to the fact that we can't guarantee that the cleaning of them. So at this time, until we hear back from the state level when we can open those up again, just please note they're still closed. Also, we also heard the campground is going to be closed at least through May 8th and maybe longer. We do not know yet, though. So with that, hopefully this week when Governor Walz makes an announcement, will give us some direction on the campground. So hopefully that'll be up and running soon. But as for right now, it's May 8th. Trails, as I mentioned earlier, the bathrooms on the trails are closed at the moment. So plan accordingly. We're waiting for guidance from the state on how we should open those up and use them. Just basically how we should have a scheduled cleaning if we can do that. So hopefully that we'll know that this week also. If not, it'll be next week. So look forward to that. Summer activity programs within the city are on hold at this moment. We are also waiting from guidance from the state on how we will move forward with the summer programs, if we'll have one. For the city, so just hold tight, keep an eye on our website. I know we'll be putting out messages that will guide you when we'll be able to have some summer programs. This will include the pool also, so just keep an eye on it for that. Also, the spring cleanup is on hold. I know we put out a message today, and we mentioned it last week at the meeting, that spring cleanup is on hold, and hopefully we can start on that in June. So just keep looking out for that. We'll make announcements on our website, and hopefully we'll use the local media to get the word out that we'll be able to do it. So please be patient with us on that. Also remember to do the 2020 census. That is important to the city and to this area to get the 2020 census in so that we get our funding for this area. So take your time, get it filled out. It only takes a few minutes. So please do that. Appreciate it. I'll turn it over to the mayor.
Some additional local developments since we last met and gave one of these updates. First of all, you're probably aware that the stay-at-home order is set to expire on Sunday, May the 3rd at 11:59 p.m., which is effectively Monday morning is when that would take effect for most of us. We should hear from Governor Walz in the next couple of days about whether that may be extended or if that date will stand, and we can all make adjustments accordingly. Secondly, the legislature and the governor approved the sale of certain beverages by on-sale establishments with curbside food orders, and the city council quickly enacted the change locally. So now you can pick up some beverages along with your food order curbside. In addition to that, I've had some questions about how folks can get the card key to get into the green site. If you need a card key to enter our green site for yard waste disposal, please call the East Grand Forks City Administrative Office. And the cost for that turns into $2 a month added to your utility bills. The initial card is sent out by mail free of charge. If you happen to lose your card or misplace it, replacement cards are $10 each. I was also asked to talk a little bit about Governor Walz's Executive Order 20-40, which will allow certain workers to re-enter the workforce. So non-critical sectors. This won't affect any of the critical sectors already identified. This is some additional folks. It turns out 80 to 100,000 people were able to return to work just this past Monday, yesterday, according to this executive order, which was issued on the 23rd of April. And we wanted to talk a little bit about that. Anytime that this starts to open up, businesses and also employees begin to ask, well, does this pertain to me? And then even customers of various businesses would want to know, how do I get in touch with these businesses that have been closed for a period of time? We should all take this as an encouraging sign. If you have 80 to 100,000 people able to return to work, it won't be long for the rest of us who are really itching now to get back to work. Who knew that could even happen, that we'd actually want to get back to work? And other sectors will follow, and we'll monitor the effect of each of these new additional steps that are taken. If it doesn't create a spike, then the next phase and the next phase, and it's really incrementally life getting back to normal. And so under Executive Order 20-40, if workers can work from home, they should continue to work from home. Now, this included some industrial and some office type work. So industrial includes place of employment in which goods are in the process of being created. So agriculture, forestry, fishing, and hunting would qualify, as do mining, construction, utilities, manufacturing. Wholesale trade and warehousing would also qualify, as they are preparing these goods for sale to customers and consumers. Some of these settings are natural for allowing social distancing, but others will be more difficult and require businesses to change how they do business to accommodate this order, if they want to reopen right at this time. And back under the category of office, which office type establishments will be allowed to resume, or were allowed to resume, activity as of yesterday? Well, office settings are places of employment in which workers do their work in an office, and where people primarily do their work at their desk and whose work is primarily not customer facing. And that was a key component of this. If you're a customer facing office type setting, this did not apply to you. But if you can do your office work safely at a desk, social distance from other folks in the office, you are able to return, or were able to return as of yesterday. So things that we can do: can interact with coworkers while maintaining appropriate social distancing, conduct virtual meetings with coworkers, customers, and suppliers, work at workstations as long as there is adequate space between workers, and follow the business's plan for social distancing. And here are some examples of what we cannot do under Executive Order 2040, which again was effective yesterday. We cannot conduct customer visits in customer workplaces or in homes. We cannot invite customers into our office to conduct business, and we can't conduct meetings in conference rooms that don't allow social distancing. And we cannot work in a close proximity right next to our coworkers. So what about critical workers and sectors? And once again, as was mentioned a moment ago, this change does not affect any of those critical sectors. Those are already carved out. They're already in operation according to the guidelines that have been established. So, what is not included? So unless they qualify as a critical sector in a previous executive order, businesses that sell goods and services directly to customers remain closed for the time being. These businesses are still allowed to fulfill orders and support electronic commerce. Executive Order 2040 requires, and this is a new thing, and we're all going to have to get used to it, it requires that each business that is in operation during the peacetime emergency establish a COVID-19 preparedness plan. So again, this is a good message for businesses in this first phase, but every business that's coming online into the future, even customer-facing businesses, are going to be dealing with roughly this same template, this same series of guidelines to create this preparedness plan. It's also good for customers of these businesses to have the idea, you know what, I should wear a mask when I go into these businesses. Don't be surprised if they take an infrared temperature at your forehead, roughly 2-inch distance. These thermometers can read temperature to rule out any fever type situation going on there. And so every business that's coming into operation or in operation needs to have this COVID-19 preparedness plan. And so it's a source of assurance to customers planning to patronize these businesses in the future, and that all steps are being taken to assure their safety. So employers must develop this plan. What does that look like? It's a plan to establish and explain the necessary policies, practices, and conditions to meet the CDC, that is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, also the Minnesota Department of Health, the MDH guidelines. So the plan should have the strong commitment of the management and be developed and implemented with the participation of all the workers. The Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry, in consultation with MDH, Minnesota Department of Health, has the authority to determine whether a plan is adequate. So your COVID-19 preparedness plan must include and describe how your business will implement, at a minimum, the following: infection prevention measures, prompt identification and isolation of sick persons, engineering and administrative controls for social distancing, housekeeping including cleaning, disinfecting, and decontamination, communications and training for managers and workers necessary to implement the plan. And number 6, provision of management and supervision necessary to ensure effective ongoing implementation of the plan. Next general category, make sure sick workers stay home. So we'll all establish health screening protocols for workers at the start of each shift, such as taking their temperature and also asking some questions about health. So we'll identify and isolate workers with COVID-19 symptoms and those who have been exposed and send them home. We'll establish communication protocols when workers may have been exposed. We'll establish worker sickness reporting protocols, provide accommodations for vulnerable populations, and clearly communicate sick leave policies to all workers. And those policies did change, as you know, as part of the CARES Act to guide what will happen in these cases where folks have to leave the workplace on COVID-related scenarios. We're going to increase social distancing. This will be with us, as we probably all know, for the next year to 18 months. This does not end when the stay-at-home order ends. So once again, we'll maximize the use of telecommuting. We'll stagger shifts and breaks to create additional shifts. We'll modify traffic patterns inside of our workplaces, and including reduction of crowding at entrances and hallways and so on. We'll limit the gatherings of our workers inside our place of business, and it will ensure safe physical distancing in workplaces, including workstations, production lines, and so on. We will limit non-essential worker interaction across floors of buildings, campuses, and work sites. If you're a big plant that has multiple sites, there's no reason for people to travel from one section of your plant to another unless it's absolutely necessary for workflow. Increase physical space between workers and customers, such as using drive-through or partitions, those plexiglass things that we're seeing at counters all over the place. Those are good things. And then worker hygiene and source control. When we think of source control, we think about these crazy things. So now when you see people out and about wearing their mask, please do not think they're germaphobes. They're actually doing this for you. If I'm the source of infection and I have this mask on, it's really a courtesy to all of you. It is not me being paranoid. I just had to wear this one. My sister in Boise, Idaho made it for me. And you know what? Those homemade masks, those cloth masks, are as good for source control as anything. You don't need the N95 or surgical mask. These cloth masks are very, very important in the whole process. Of course, it helps preserve that PPE for our frontline workers. You know, if everybody was burning up an N95 every day, you'd run out of them a lot quicker. So these cloth masks are a vital link in preventing the spread of infection. More and more, you're going to have that stipulated where if you want to be a customer at a given establishment, there's going to be an expectation that you'll have a cloth mask or other kind of mask on to prevent the spread of disease, not from them to you, but from you to them. And also the employer will need to provide all the recommended personal protective equipment, also known as PPE, such as non-medical cloth masks, gloves, disinfectant, guards, shields, etc. We will post hand washing and cover your cough signs in prominent places. We'll encourage the use of other source control masks, such as non-medical cloth masks. We will prohibit on-site food preparation and sharing. At our place of work in my day job, we have a little buffet table that people bring all kind of homemade stuff and other things. Unfortunately for right now, that won't be happening, just for this very reason. Finally, we'll all need to have cleaning and disinfection protocols. Of course, you can imagine I got all of this off of the Minnesota Department of Health and the Department of Employment and Economic Development website. So this is all from the state where it came from. Cleaning and disinfection protocols, the last category that every single business coming on back into operation in this recovery period. Number one, clean and disinfect all areas such as offices, bathrooms, common areas, shared electronic equipment, so keyboards, mice, workspaces that are shared, machinery, tools, and controls. Boy, are we smart. We've been doing this in our police cars, fire trucks. We've been doing it in our public works vehicles, between individuals going in and out of there, disinfecting all the controls there, and that's important. So also at least daily cleaning all high-touch items like doorknobs, handles, light switches, and so on. Ensure the availability of hand sanitizer and approved cleaning products, and decontaminate the workspace. If a worker becomes ill with COVID-19, That's that 72-hour deep disinfection that goes on, and maybe longer. Sometimes it's up to 2 weeks based on various protocols. And finally, all workers, management and employees, must be trained in the use of these protocols. So don't be surprised, these will linger undoubtedly for the next year, but step by step, we're going to have businesses coming in until finally we can go to sporting events in packed stadiums once again. Mark?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to touch base on the Executive Order 2038, which has to do with recreation. I want to touch base on what it means and what it says and what we can do and not do. Basically, I'm going to say what we can do, and I'm going to touch base on what they don't want you to do. So in addition to walking, hiking, running, biking, driving for pleasure, hunting and fishing, other activities are being allowed now. Boating, parks and trails are open, wildlife management areas are open, state forests are open, scientific and natural areas, golf courses and driving ranges, outdoor shooting ranges and game farms, and then private ski hill bike trails. Those are some of the things that we can do with this updated order of 2038. With that, he had some other guidelines in there issuing, if you're out doing an activity with your household family, immediate family, you're allowed to do a basketball game or play soccer, but if you're in an area with other household people that you don't know or in a park area, you need to maintain your 6 feet distance from them. So that's still not allowed. So that is something that he's stressing, to make sure that we get out and exercise and get out and enjoy the warm weather that we're having, but also keep in mind that we need to keep our distance from other people who's not part of our own household, so that we don't have a spike and don't have a situation where we have to monitor or stop having these areas open. So please try your best. If you're out, by all means, get out to the greenway, get out to the parks. Just remember that our playgrounds are closed, but our parks are open. You can enjoy the parks and enjoy your time with your family. Things that he talked about in the order also are things that we can't do yet, and hopefully we can do soon. This doesn't include that we can go to any performances outside, competitions, team events, tournaments, races, rallies, organized sports events, as the mayor mentioned earlier, any spectator events, any lists on here, fairs, or any other events that involve a gathering of individuals in a manner that would preclude any social distancing. So those are the things that we have to be mindful of, but we be mindful that we need to get out and do something, and get out and get active and enjoy the weather in our area and enjoy our greenway and enjoy our parks. So please take note of what we can do and what we can't do yet. This might change within the next week once the orders on May 3rd expire, and he might have some modifications to them. But as the mayor mentioned earlier, that we'll be looking at these for months down the road and how we can incorporate these and bring things back to the way we used to have them. But please be mindful of this. And if you ever do have any questions on that, please do reach out to us. Please reach out to look at our city website. Good resources is the Minnesota Governor site, which has a Q&As on there, what you can do, what you can't do. There was one on there that I actually got asked today. I went on and looked at it, and one was, can I travel to my cabin? Because we have a lot of people in this area that have cabins in Minnesota. It says, although the executive order does not prohibit travel to and from a cabin, the governor strongly urges all Minnesotans to stay in their primary residences at this time. Staying home protects your neighbors from spread of COVID and also avoids crowding rural medical facilities. Avoiding this kind of travel makes us safer and healthier. So that was one thing that people did start asking a lot, since it's getting warmer out, wanting to go put your docks in or boat lifts in. So he wanted to make sure that was out there, that it's not prohibited, but he strongly wants you not to do it. But again, be mindful of this. Again, stay safe. If you have questions, reach out to the city, reach out to your local councilman, reach out to the mayor. and hopefully we can keep moving forward and keep getting back to our normal routines as we move down the road. So, and thank you. Mayor, do you have anything?
First of all, if you're still awake at this moment of watching this little announcement, congratulations, because this was a lot of somewhat dry and drab information, but super relevant. And please know, we're all dealing with it. Mark, in your day job, you're working through all of these parameters. In my day job, I'm doing the exact same thing. And the good news is, if we will do this, if we will jump through these hoops, if we will pass through these little steps, we're going to get, even now, even right now, as soon as we can get back to our work, we'll be doing a good job serving our customers, and employees will be back going to work every day. Good grief, I haven't pressure washed my deck in like 3 years, and I'm about to do it for the second time in a week just to have something to do. And I think we're all kind of at that point. That first week was great, and the second week was fine. But boy, I think we're just itching to get back to work. And along with that, getting back to all of the good social activities that we've enjoyed. You know, go to our local restaurant and sit down and have a meal and a beverage with friends and family. You know, just keep that in your mind, because we're really getting pretty close to that. In the interim time, boy, like Mark said, get out, take a bike ride, get out on the trails. It's beautiful down there. And how nice to start to watch the green glow start to show up on the trees. And that's what's coming. The trees don't even know the difference between COVID or not. And so get out and enjoy. So really, it's one of the really great times of year up here. And as Reed, I think, said in the council meeting, or else he said it in a call recently, Reed Hutton and our Park and Rec director, we're going to get our boat launch area cleaned up as soon as we can. And if Governor Walz says, you know, fish and enjoy things close to home, we might have more local fishing on these rivers than we've had in years, just for people to get out and enjoy these activities close to home and not have to go out and travel too much. So yeah, this is a good time of year. A lot of good things coming. Figure it out. Go online, the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. And they have some great links. There are even some, you know, kind of a step-by-step walkthrough in how to prepare your plan for restarting your business. It's all worthwhile to get your head around it, familiarize it, and then enact it, and keep everybody safe. Keep your workers safe. Keep your customers safe. That's what we're after. Thank you.